Hello, everyone. Katie Schwing with the Will Committee here for our fourth installment of the Women Owned Wednesdays mini series, where we take time in the month of March to showcase just a few of the many wonderful women in our community who own their own businesses. This week's guest is Lynn Darnell with Medary Acres Greenhouse. She began working there in 1978 and purchased it in 1982. Lynn has served on various boards in our community and believes they have given her an additional business experience. Lynn is a self-described Brookings original. Her family comprises of her husband Brian, daughter Samantha, a family practice MD, and husband Tyler, and their daughter Sarah, who partners with Brian and Lynn at Medary Acres. Outside of work, Lynn enjoys bowling, motorcycling, hiking, and participating in Bible studies and a handbell choir. Lynn describes herself as an extrovert who really enjoys people, getting to know others, and is a consummate learner and reader. Lynn, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you tell us a little bit about Medary Acres?
Thank you, Katie. Sure, I can. Mederi Acres is a family-owned business, obviously, and our business has been in existence since about 1955. And as you referred to, I started there in 1978 and purchased it in 1982. Um, we have grown the business considerably over all those decades. And we're just really proud to be in the community of Brookings and to have the opportunity to not only have a successful business and run a successful business, but to be in a community that supports us at every turn of the way.
When did you decide to purchase the business or go into business on your own?
Actually, Katie, I had been interested in business since I was a little girl. My parents, I grew up on a farm, and both of my parents worked in town. But my mom managed, she was the office manager at the Farmers Co-op. So she had a really great business background. And my dad worked for, it was called Brookings Lake Telephone at that time. And his forte was we grew hogs on the side. So that was an additional business that my dad did. And my dad was very outgoing and loved people. And so my mom was outgoing also, but my dad was extremely outgoing. And so I feel like I got the best of both of them. And I knew from the time I was a little girl that I wanted to be in business. And then I happened to get a job at Medary Acres during college, and I never left. It's been my one and only career my entire life.
That sounds awesome. What is your favorite thing about owning your own business?
Well, every day is just so exciting. I wake up excited about whatever the challenges might be. And, it helps that you're growing flowers and that you're working with flowers and you're in humidity and bright light. And it changes every day. Every morning you walk in and it looks different than when you left the night before. And that's just a miracle in itself. And then we have a crew of mostly women that work for us. And on the average, I would say our staff, we have a staff of 30, and on the average, they've worked 25 years or longer. And so we have a knowledge base that is incredible. They walk in at the beginning of the year. They know what to do. They have looked at magazines and studied and have all kinds of ideas that they've been collecting the 6 months that we've been gone. And so it's really a team effort, and it's just exciting for us every day.
That sounds great. What's been the hardest thing?
I would say, as far as business, it's, business. There are days that are pretty challenging, and most days aren't that challenging. But I would say for me personally, as a woman and somebody involved in business, my biggest challenge is saying no. I love being involved in everything. My interests are so wide and varied that I think that's been the hardest thing is for me to say no. And over the years, I have gotten myself quite a bit overextended. And it was everything that I love to do, but overextended. And so that has been a real challenge for me to learn to, it's okay to say no and to focus on, your own business and your own community and what's going on there. So
That sounds like a really good lesson, something that I might need to take into advisement as well.
right, right. That's what happens when we are interested in everything and we love to learn and you love to meet people. It is hard to say no. And with that, with me saying that, everything I have been in, I have learned so much and I have enjoyed. But there have been days where I've come home and thought, okay, I have to get better at saying no.
Do you think that there are unique challenges that women in business face or that you have faced because you're a woman that perhaps a man wouldn't?
You know, I've been asked that question before, and um, I guess personally, I am really happy to say I don't think I've ever had to come across those stumbling blocks. And the industry that I'm in, it seems like people are really, really good about wanting people to be successful. They're willing to take you under your wing and say, now, Lynn, if you had done this, this, and this in this order, it would have been easier. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me. So I think it might have been a good give and take throughout my career that I knew when I didn't know something, and I was willing to listen to people that were trying to legitimately help me. So I never really felt like there was too big of a stumbling block. Gosh, my bankers have been wonderful over the years. One banker, when I first started out, one day he asked if I had time for coffee, and I said, sure. And he took me to coffee, and he brought a book that explained a lot about advertising and what your advertising budget should look like and what percentage of your gross sales you should be putting towards advertising. And that's the kind of mentorship that I have had throughout my career. He wouldn't have had to do that. And I will never forget it. And it was really, I really didn't know how much to spend and what to base it on. And he just sent me down the path of at least staying in a budget, creating an
Mhm.
advertising budget and staying within it. And I just had, I have lots and lots of stories like that throughout the years that I am trying to pass on to my daughter also, that it's okay when somebody calls you and says, should we go talk about this? Go and listen and learn. So,
That's great advice. What or how do you balance work life and home life?
yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand with that no thing. Brian and I have been a really good team. So I'm really fortunate that my spouse has been one of my favorite team members, and I don't think a lot of people have said, how have you worked with your husband every day of every year, your entire career? And there were days where we had to say, okay, you can't come in my office because you messed stuff up, you know, but we found our areas, we found our strengths. And so we became a very good team. So then once our daughters came along, we did the same thing. We were a good team as far as making sure, our kids are happy and healthy and turning into to good citizens. We did actually downsize our business when after our second daughter was born. We did have a year-round retail floral shop along with our greenhouse, which is seasonal. And in that floral business, it was a good business and we loved that side of the industry. But when you could really make profit was nights and weekends and holidays, which really isn't very conducive with family life when you're both working in the same company. So we did decide to downsize. And we decided we thought we could, raise a family and make a good living on just the greenhouse side of the business. And we've never looked back. It was really a good decision. And that was really way more conducive to family life. And so it just downsizing and concentrating in one area of our industry gave us more family time.
Awesome. And what advice would you have for someone who's looking to get into business on their own?
Well, first of all, it has been being in business has been so good for our family, and we really truly do enjoy every day of it. So don't be afraid to go into business. But with that said, there are just some things you really need to understand. Maybe do a lot of research. Don't maybe do research. Do a lot of research into the type of industry that you want to go into. Check your demographics. Are you retail? Are you production? What are you? If you're selling something, is there somebody there to buy it? And if you're going into production, is there a work staff? Those are very legitimate, important questions. You need to look into regulations and licensing, and I don't want that to scare anybody away, but the more knowledge you have, opening that door for whatever it is, you're probably going to stub your toe. We all do, but you'll be armed with knowledge to be able to go into that business. Um, I can't stress enough for us personally how important our banker was. Our banker, we're a strange little creature out here. We're in production, we're in retail, we're seasonal, we're ag. We're just really a mixture of things. And it really took a few bankers before I was comfortable with somebody who really understood what our goals were and what this industry looked like. So I would say your financial banker can be your best partner to help you along too. So demographics, your banker, know what you're getting into. And then be flexible, because you know what? It'll all change. But get as much knowledge as you can.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This is all really great advice, and I've really appreciated our time together. Thank you for spending some time with me today.
You are welcome, Katie.